Welcome to another episode of EETV, where I try to bring everything in entertainment. We have a lot to unpack here for Trigun Stampede, episode 6, Once Upon a Time in Hopeland. And this is another time skip episode, but we received a lot of information what's going on here, and there's a lot to unpack. So let's begin. The scene of episode 6 begins in the middle of the desert in the middle of the night. Nicholas D. Wolfwood chased down, looks like an Eye of Michael operative, an assassin, and he executed him on the spot. Then afterwards, we see Wolfwood takes a drug in the middle of the fight before he executed him, and it healed his wounds, just like we saw in the previous episode. Then we get to see, and we're assuming that's the past. Then we flash forward to the car, and we see Wolfwood, we see Vash, we see Meryl, and Roberto all in the car, and they are headed to the sand steamer because that would be the fastest route to July since it's on the other side of the planet. Roberto seems to be relieved to be getting rid of Vash and Nicholas D. Wolfwood, and he tells Meryl why, and the reason why is because they still have that picture of Vash 2 decades ago when he was holding Rolo, and Roberto makes a comment that says, you know, any guy that looks the same 2 decades from now cannot be human, and he's just inviting trouble, so we're glad to offload him. Roberto is the information broker of this anime. Anything that has to do that's new that they did not show in the previous adaptation, they're showing here on Stampede, and Roberto's going to be the one that connects the dots for the audience if you didn't. Before Wolfwood and Vash were dropped off at the sand steamer, there was a radio report coming in right before they were pulling into the terminal, and the news on the radio specifically stated that the thieves, meaning Knives and his crew, were stealing Red's plants specifically. So I think that's going to be important to the story. Also, if you don't remember that the red plants are the plants that are no longer working. We got to get a look into how the sand steamers operate, where they go to, how far they go, which I found kind of cool. And also, Vash asked Wolfwood why he was following him, and Wolfwood said because he needs a babysitter because Vash can't kill bad guys. Now I'm going to make a prediction. Wolfwood is Knives' safeguard for his plans. Now he's sending all of the gun-ho guns after Vash so he can release his gate for whatever reason. I still haven't speculated why Knives wants Vash to release the gate, but it has something to do with his ultimate plans. But given that, Wolfwood is the failsafe, just in case one of the gun-ho guns comes too close to killing Vash, Wolfwood is going to be able to stop it right there in order to keep Knives' plan intact. Now we get more dialogue from Vash and Wolfwood, and Wolfwood clearly states that the only reason why Vash is still alive is because other people died. And then given that, all of a sudden a man in a uniform with a strange symbol on the back and a gray suit comes up and starts firing 2 automatic submachine guns at Vash, attempting to kill him. We find a little bit out later in the episode that this is Livio, Wolfwood's childhood friend. They're his closest brothers, and he is attempting to assassinate Vash. We get to see the backstory of Livio further on in the episode, revealed that they were both at the same orphanage and almost are the same age at Hopeland Orphanage. The backstory plays out like a silent film, which I find very interesting because Trigun is a space western, so why not throw a silent film in there for the artist's dictation of how Wolfwood lived? Not only that, the imagery, when we get the backstory, looks like a child's storybook illustration with all the extra lines and more so the bright details. Wolfwood befriends Livio when he comes to the orphanage, and we get to see later on, and I just brought this up to show how advanced as far as thinking as Wolfwood is. You know, he's a small child. I would assume that he's 9 or 10 in that flashback, and so is Livio. And we see Wolfwood smoking a worm leg, and I'm finding this interesting because not only do people use them as a source of protein, so I guess they could take one of the legs and use the chemicals that is involved with their bioluminescence as an aphrodisiac or just something to get them in a different state of consciousness. So I found that interesting, that people will be people even when they're in the middle of a desert. Now, back in the present day, Livio is still attacking and he's attempting to kill Vash. We see, and then it cuts to Meryl and Roberto. Roberto reminds Meryl that this is an undercover assignment, hinting they have decided to follow Vash and Wolfwood. And then all of a sudden you see something out of the corners of the screen, the left and right, if you were paying attention, and it turns out to be the Badlands gang. And they're reminiscent of Mad Max if you've seen those movies. Now we go back to the past after that part, and Wolfwood is selected to be taken into the fold here. They call him the Child of Blessing, and they give him a little red envelope with the symbol, the same symbol that's on the back of the assassin, which turns out to be his childhood friend and brother, Livio. Wolfwood is revealed to be test subject HL1-06, and his chemical aptitude is S+. And the chemical they give him is that azure liquid that we've been seeing over the series, and he has a high compatibility rate to the azure liquid, able to heal any wound. And we get a little bit more backstory. We see here that Wolfwood is shown being experimented on by the doctor, and the drug repairs all injury, and specifically said by the doctor that this drug repairs any injury, it heals the body, and it strengthens the cells. We see Nicholas's fever dream that's reminiscent of the Yellow Submarine with all the bright colors and its psychedelic imagery being shown on the screen. And this is what we see. We see in his dream, we see the vials of the drug that's running around in a circle being in the dream. We see Livio calling Nicholas by his nickname. We see the flower, I guess, being reminiscent of the geranium, and that's why Vash wears the red jacket. So he probably had some being programmed with some training to kill Vash, and that's why we see the flower. We see the worm, and then the worm becoming a moth. After the experiment seems to be over, it says the doctor states that the accelerated growth came at an extreme price. We can assume that the cost is a shortened lifespan because of the accelerated growth. Also, the results are adulthood reached in a few months, and it's an unavoidable side effect of the experimentation that Nicholas D. Wolfwood went through. The doctor calls Wolfwood a monster because of how well his body and mind is able to adapt to all of the experiments. Then we get a flash forward of that Wolfwood is able to hide a good amount of the drugs, and he attempts his first escape attempt. And we see how strong drug made him, being able to crash through that iron gate, and he's able to escape capture. And we see the doctor from previous episodes being there and is the one doing the main experimentation on him. And right before he escapes through the window, after jumping over the doctor and the two guards, and he says he's gonna go back to the orphanage, he is stopped in midair. His body starts to contort. So if you're an old Trigun fan like me, you know what this means, that Legato Blue Summers is here, and they do show him. He recruits Wolfwood into the Eye of Michael, which is the special ops of Knives Army. Now, we don't know, because this is only episode very early in the series, so we don't know if the name Eye of Michael is going to replace Gun Ho Guns, but I think it is, because he accepted Wolfwood into it. So, sorry ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to get Gun Ho Guns. They're going to be called the Eye of Michael now. We get some religious tones in here, and Legato Blue Summer says you'll like it because we get to worship a beautiful angel, and then Wolfwood responds that he does not believe in God. They use Livio as leverage to get Wolfwood to behave, because also they're astonished that he's able to keep his will. The experimentation that we saw with the headset on, that was meant to brainwash him, but it didn't work. So I'm making the prediction now, just speculating now, that his high adaptability to that healing drug is also connected to his willpower. He also states that Legato Blue Summers also states that he doesn't understand love and human connection, and he specifically is raising up his left arm, and we can see it's kind of being experimented on. Now, I wonder if they're going to go the same route. Is that still Vash's arm that was connected to Legato Blue Summers? Or if they're going to go a different route here. Maybe that's one of the plants manufactured into an arm for Legato Blue Summers. Or maybe in this adaptation, Legato Blue Summers may even be a plant himself that's been releasing his gate. Only time will tell. We're only making speculations here. Also, Legato Blue Summers explains his power. It's specifically stated by him that his power is not nerve control or electrical impulse. We get a shot showing Livio, and it shows that his eye is glowing to show that the Eye of Might will have him under control. And the doctor's name is finally revealed in this episode. He is known as Priest William. William tells Blue Summers that he shouldn't defile life, and he apologized and asks Wolfwood for forgiveness because Blue Summers threw him around with his telekinesis. Now back to the present. Vash and Livio are attacked by the military police that are currently stationed on the sand steamer. Livio should have died after that barrage of bullets, but he's able to heal, and Wolfwood is puzzled because he's able to heal without taking the drug. And I'm making another speculation. What we saw on Rollo, on the sides of Rollo, were the little vials that we saw. I'm going to speculate that either in his mask or possibly in his body, that he has that drug, and it'll automatically be pumped out into his system if he sustains any sort of considerable damage, because they're upgrading their super soldiers, as we can see. Because remember, they considered Rollo a failure as a super soldier. Also, we see Blue Summers and Sazi the Beast have been following the sand steamer, and Blue Summer states that if Livio dies, more children from the Hope and Orphanage will be used, so Wolfwood's going to try his best to prevent Livio from killing Vash and vice versa. Now, to speed everything along, to put the things more in Knives' favor, we see that Blue Summers drives closer to the sand steamer. He uses his power to sabotage the sand steamer, and we can speculate that he has a certain range to his power, and that's why he drove closer to the sand steamer before deploying his power. So we can speculate he has a certain range to it. Also, if bad things couldn't get worse than this, the Raiders, the Badland Raiders that we saw a little bit earlier in the episode, are all decked out in their neon glory and now are attacking the sand steamer because they deemed anything that glitters is theirs as well. Then we get a cut of Sazi the Beast asking Wolfwood what he will do in this situation. So literally the tables have been turned on Nicholas D. Wolfwood, and he is in the same position that Vash has been in all this time, because Wolfwood has been critical of Vash. So we get to see literally what Wolfwood is going to do, and I'm going to cover that in my next video, what episode 6 revealed. I thank you for tuning in to this review. Like, share, subscribe if you feel like it. I'll see you in the next video, which I will post tomorrow, which would be what episode 6 of Trigun Stampede revealed. Take care, everybody.